much, sir. Please, we may all be seated. Special guest of honor, the chairman, the chief host and the chief of defense staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Before we proceed, sir, may I humbly request that we listen to the safety brief of this venue as it is customary. Thank you very much.
The Chief of Defense Staff, our esteemed guest, Principal Staff Officers at the Defense Headquarters. This is a safety brief on evacuation plan. Ladies and gentlemen, safety is our #1 priority. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please take note of the following important information. We are presently at the conference hall located on the second floor of the Defense Headquarters. In this hall, there are 2 doors leading in and out of the hall, which are clearly marked with the signs A and B respectively with exit signs. The first door, which is the main entrance into the conference hall, is also the main exit door which leads you back to the stair lobby. The second entry and exit into the conference hall is towards the back of the hall at the back of the high table. This also leads out of the conference hall. There is a fire emergency alarm. If the alarm comes on, please do not panic. I repeat, do not panic. The fire emergency alarm is a steady and continuous siren sound. When this alarm comes on, the Chief of Defense and those on the high table should walk briskly to door B to exit the building through the exit staircase to the designated muster point. Those on the lower platform should walk briskly to exit the conference hall through the exit door A. Door A directly leads into a stair lobby, which directly leads to a ground floor to exit the building. In case of an emergency, please do not use the lift. The muster points are directly in front of entrance A, B, and C of the Defense Headquarters building. Remain there and await further instructions. No fire drill or alarm test is scheduled at this time of the day. Should there be any or both of these 2 alarms, it should be treated as a real emergency. Please remember to evacuate the building in the event of an emergency following the evacuation plan. Should you forget any items, please do not go back into the building. Your safety is our priority. Thank you for your attention and please remain safe.
Thank you very much, sir. In addition to the safety brief, permit me to state that there are 3 conveniences in this hall. The one directly behind the high table is designated for usage by the special guest of honor, the chairman and other members of the high table, while the one by my left are for usage by other distinguished guests. Please feel free to use it when the need requires. Thank you very much. The special guest of honor, the Honorable Minister of Defense, His Excellency Alhaji Badaru Mohammed Abubakar, MNICON, ably represented by Major General A.T. Jibril, retired. The chairman of this occasion, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, FNIPR. The chief host and the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabin Musa, OFR, representatives of Service Chief and Inspector General of Police, representative of the DGDSS, heads of security, heads of agencies under Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, President, Chairman, Council of National Institute of Public Relations, our amiable media executives, principal staff officers, directors, distinguished guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning from the Directorate of Defense Information, and on behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff, I welcome you to the main conference hall venue for the Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chief Pali with media executives and 2 years of people-centric leadership of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and honored invited guests, we gather today to commemorate a significant milestone, the second anniversary of Service Chiefs led by our amiable Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabin Musa, OFR. The occasion provides us with an opportunity to reflect on the progress made, challenges overcome, and lessons learned over the past 2 years. You recall that this is not the first time, as the maiden edition happened last year during the period under review. We also had the opportunity to review our scorecard, assess our strategic direction, and chart the way forward. Once again, on behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff, I welcome you to the media party. Before we begin, permit me to run you through the program of events. We will begin with a welcome address by the Director of Defense Information. This will be followed by a media operational brief and a documentary on Unsung heroes. Next, we will have remarks from the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief Host. Following that, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, who chaired these proceedings, will offer his remarks. Then the heads of security agencies and chiefs of service chiefs will deliver briefs. After the briefs, we will proceed with an interactive session. The special guest of honor will then deliver his keynote address. There will be presentation of plaques and souvenirs, followed by group photograph. And finally, we will conclude with our goodbyes. On this note, it is now time for the welcome address. Permit me to invite the Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tuku Koso, for the welcome address. The Director, sir.
The special guest of honor, the Honorable Minister of Defense, His Excellency Alhaji Muhammad Badr Abubakar, CON, MNI, ably represented by one of our own, Major General A.T. Jibrin, retired, a distinguished member of the National Institute. The chairman of the occasion, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Muhammad Idris, fellow Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Kakakin Nufe, now Kakakin Nigeria. The chief host, my own boss, the Chief of Defense Staff, Armed Forces of Nigeria, General Christopher Gwabi Musa, Officer of the Order of the Federal Republic. The representatives of the service chiefs, the heads of security agencies ably represented here, head of agencies under the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, principal staff officers from Defense and Services Headquarters, the President and Council Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Dr. Ike Neliaku, fellow Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, our media executives, senior officers, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am highly delighted and honored to deliver a brief remarks at this landmark event organized to commemorate the 2 remarkable years in office of our amiable and highly respected Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabi Musa, and our service chiefs. Today marks not just the passage of time, but a significant milestone in our collective efforts to address and mitigate the complex security challenges confronting our beloved nation. It is without doubt a day of reflection, recognition, and renewed commitment to our national security. This program was conceived in alignment with one of the leadership philosophies of the Chief of Defense Staff, which is leading a people-centric armed forces. It is on this foundation that the Directorate of Defense Information continued to operate with the mission to ensure that the Nigerian public remains accurately and adequately informed about the activities, achievements, and sacrifices of the armed forces of Nigeria. As custodians of defense information, we understand the critical role information plays in shaping public opinion, fostering trust, and enhancing civil-military relations. Our duty, therefore, is to bridge the gap between the armed forces and the general public by sharing credible, timely, and factual information about the operations and commitment of those who bear responsibility of safeguarding our nation's sovereignty. Let me use this opportunity to most sincerely appreciate the presence of our esteemed media executives and stakeholders. Your partnership and your support is well appreciated. We will continue to work together in promoting narratives that reflect both the reality and the hope that define our ongoing journey towards peace and security. Let me also use this opportunity to thank the #1 spokesperson of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, for accepting to chair this event and for also laying a new foundation on how spokesperson should engage the general public without being unethical or unprofessional. Thank you, sir, for your leadership and guidance. I also want to specifically thank the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority for approving a live coverage of this event. Thank you very much, sir. Once again, we celebrate the exemplary leadership of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabi Musa, along with our service chiefs and head of other security organizations. Sir, your leadership, vision, dedication, and strategic foresight has repositioned the armed forces for greater effectiveness and impact. Finally, sir, I want to thank you all for honoring this invitation with your presence and support. Together, let us continue to build a more secure and better informed Nigeria. Thank you very much, and God bless. So what is next? Operation?
Yes, sir.
So invite him, I will tell you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful welcome address. The next item on the program of events is the Defense Operational Brief by the Directorate of Defense Media Operations. Permit me at this point to invite the Deputy Director of Media Operations, Brigadier General MD Abumwashi, for this brief. The Deputy Director, sir.
The special guest of honor, sir, the Honorable Minister of Defense, ably represented, the chairman of the occasion, the Honorable Minister of Information, the Chief of Defense Staff, please permit me to rest on the already established protocol. As earlier mentioned, I'm Brigadier General MD Abumashi, the Deputy Director of Defense Media Operations. I'm standing in for the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General MG Kange, who is presently for the Combat Support Arms Training Week holding in Kano. I'm to give highlights on the ongoing military operations by the armed forces across the country from 29th May 2023 to 29th May 2025. Notwithstanding the current security challenges in the country, a lot has been achieved in the last 2 years. The summary of operational activities of the military within the period under review are as follows. The total number of terrorists killed is 6,260, while those terrorists arrested are 14,148. The total kidnapped victims rescued are 5,365. Total assorted arms and ammunition recovered are 6,672 weapons, 777 rounds recovered respectively. While in the Niger Delta region, troops curbed the stealing of natural resources, a recovery worth 83,114,541,921 naira only. Please permit me to give a brief highlight of the achievements made by the various military operations being conducted across the country. Starting with Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai. The total number of Boko Haram terrorists and ISWAP terrorists killed are 1,246, while the Boko Haram and ISWAP arrested are 2,467. The civilians rescued are 1,920, while the arms and ammunition recovered are 982 weapons and 41,153 rounds respectively. Next is Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Fansanyama. In the last 2 years, the number of bandits killed are 1,374. The bandits arrested are 2,160, while the civilians rescued are 3,288. The arms and ammunition recovered are 947 weapons and 25,802 rounds, respectively. A look at Joint Task Force North Central Operation Safe Haven. Within the period under review, the number of violent extremists killed is 323, while the violent extremists arrested are 3,850. The civilians rescued are 1,300, while the arms and ammunition recovered are 1,149 weapons and 8,588 rounds, respectively. Now to Joint Task Force North Central Operation Wide Stroke. That's in Benue State, covering Benue, Taraba, and Nasarawa states. In the last 2 years, The number of violent extremists killed are 407, while the violent extremists arrested are 7,153. The civilians rescued are 1,510, while the arms and ammunition recovered are 1,065 weapons, 19,709 rounds, respectively. Next is Joint Task Force South-South Operation Delta Safe. The number of violent criminals killed are 103, while those arrested are 2,760. The civilians rescued are 266, while the arms and ammunition recovered are 393 weapons, 5,837 rounds, respectively. Now to Joint Task Force Southeast Operation Udoka. In the last 2 years, the number of terrorists killed are 240, while those arrested are 1,677. The civilians rescued are 294, while the arms and ammunition recovered are 683 weapons and 21,371 rounds, respectively. Finally, down to Joint Task Force Southwest Operation Awase. Within the period under review, the violent criminals killed are 8, while those arrested are 1,763, while the civilians rescued are 89, and the arms and ammunition recovered are 103 weapons and 177,904 rounds, respectively. The armed forces remain committed to denying terrorists, insurgents, bandits, and other criminal elements freedom of action in the country. The success of ongoing operations is a testament to the determination and resilience of our troops, who continue to work tirelessly to secure the nation. The Defense Headquarters commends the bravery and professionalism of the troops involved in all operations and assures Nigerians of its continued efforts to ensure the safety and security of our citizens. Thank you and God bless. Sir.
Thank you very much, sir. We just listening to the media operational brief. The next item on the program of event is a special documentary titled The Unsung Heroes. This is in dedication to our soldiers of the armed forces of Nigeria, whose courage and sacrifices and dedication will not go unnoticed. Please enjoy. Thank you very much.
Fellow Nigerians, my name is Brigadier General.
Off the light,
You know, why is the light now?
Our gallant officers, men and women of the armed forces of Nigeria. Some of them paid the supreme price. I pray to Almighty God to grant them eternal peace. While many others have sustained permanent body injury. I urge you to watch these videos and then let us have your feedback through our email and social media handles as projected on the screen. Thank you very much.
Nigeria stand between order and chaos, laying down flesh and blood for the safety of millions. From Sambisa to Shiroro and to the deep forests of Anambra, they have fought with courage beyond recognition and paid a price few will fully ever grasp. In one explosion, Major General MSA Aliu lost a comrade and the use of his legs, a flight lieutenant grounded from the skies, and one soldier shot by a sniper through the mouth. speaks again only because of a painstaking reconstruction. Another still carries 2 bullets inside him, silent reminders of a war still unfinished. One of Nigeria's finest combat officers, Major General MSA Aliyu, retired, was among the first to penetrate deep into the Sambisa forest. His resolve against terror shaped key victories in the northeast. But in 2016, while serving as General Officer commanding 3 Division in Jos, an explosion changed his path. The event claimed the life of his fellow officer and left him with a severe injury.
I am Major General MSA Aliyu. MSA stands for Muhammad Sani Abdullah. In 1989, I was commissioned second lieutenant and was posted to the Nigerian Army Amoko. I have held several appointments, both in and out of the country. I'll be proud to tell you that out of my 35 years of service, I spent 18 years fighting war. And mainly General Buhari became president, and a week later I saw my posting to go to Burma as brigade commander. And at that time, Burma was a no-go area. You all know what Boko Haram did. So I was tasked to reclaim Burma and occupy it, which I did. So I was honestly not excited being posted as GOC 3D because I'm happy doing the work I was doing as brigade commander there. My headquarters is in Jos, but I now there was a tactical headquarters in Damaturu. And then I was asked to set up a camp at Buniadi. I set up that camp to make it a special force school. Major General Yusho Abakar, who died during my accident, was the chief of training and operation. So he needed to go and commission their training so that they can move to Dikwa. He called me and asked me, MSA, I'm coming to your AOR, so please come to Maiduguri and pick me. I said, okay, sir. That very morning, I attempted driving to Maiduguri 4 times and changing my mind. Finally, I just popped out of my office and entered the vehicle and said, let's go to Maiduguri. The convoy was consisted of 12 vehicles, mine being the 12th vehicles. The first 5 vehicles had gotten on the main road and I have zoomed out. And then I got onto the main road. So accelerating to meet up with that vehicle, with the convoy, that was when this unfortunate incident happened. I just had a blast in the engine of my car. And the vehicle, according to the driver, my spare driver behind me, he said the vehicle just flew up as high as pole wire and landed down and started somersaulting and caught fire. So he said while it was somersaulting, he saw me and he let off.
So, what exactly happened?
One gunshot from the enemy sniper.
Where did that happen?
It was for Western National.
So, after this incident, how have you been faring?
Due to struggles, multiple surgeries, of the recovery.
2 bullets remain inside him, lodged near his spine. Medics called it a miracle. Abel Seaman Idris calls it unfinished business.
I was listed in Nigerian Navy 2012, 9 July. I was deployed in Lokoja, Okene, local government. So we are on patrols and we had an ambush. So we are 4 in the vehicle, 2 died, 2 of us survived. I sustained 4 gunshots, 1 at my leg 3 at my back.
Flying wounded personnel abroad for reconstructive surgeries and advanced care. Not every scar can heal, but every soldier is seen. And those who bore the brunt are not forgotten. They are invested in.
I was in coma for 7 days before I recovered. At that time, I can only move my hands. I cannot do anything. I cannot sit. I cannot move. I was in terrible, terrible pain. So time comes until Burate was removed as Chief of Army Staff. He did a lot for me. He sent me to Germany. He sent me to India twice. He sent me to UK, all in search of remedy for this problem. It was in India that they quarreled the putting of metal on my back, and they removed it. And since that time, I started getting the recovery process the way I am. And then, Alhamdulillah, I will say I'm alive. I can do what I want. My children are seeing me, and inshallah, very soon, I will join you people working.
I sustained injury while serving in the Northeast. By virtue of my commission, I was commissioned into the Nigerian Army Engineers, and naturally I became a combat engineer and an EOD personnel, that's explosive ordnance disposal personnel. So we deal basically with bombs, IEDs, clearing route of advance for advancing troops and all maneuver units. It was on our normal routine clearance during an operation they call Operation Ture Takabangu in 2021. So during that routine clearance, we were just returning from clearance of the route of advance of IEDs. Of course, we removed a lot. So while returning, we came in contact with Boko Haram terrorists, and the firefights that ensued in the process. I got injured when RPG was fired at my vehicle, and it charged through the vehicle. The shrapnels and the fragments took out my left arm. Of course, when it happened, I was treated first at the military hospital in Maiduguri, because I was first taken there for like few days before I was referred to the reference hospital in Kaduna, that's 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital, and I spent close to 9 months there receiving treatments back and forth. And after a series of surgeries to reconstruct the hand, because the elbow was badly shattered and it affected, up to now it still plays a lot of limitation on the flexion and extension of the left arm. So after all the treatment in 44, there was need for me to go for an advanced treatment, and the military also supported that. The Nigerian Army approved a medevac for me abroad. I was actually flown to Turkey for a reconstructive surgery on the left arm.
One fateful evening, went for our evening games, because we have a routine in the army where Tuesdays and Thursdays we do evening games. So went to our brigade headquarters. That period, I think we had inter-battalion competition at such. So I was representing my unit, the Gas Brigade Garrison. I played football that very fateful evening. So there was a tackle on me. I noticed I couldn't get up off the field, and there was a sharp pain coming from my knee. When I managed to get up, I couldn't even get up. I had to look. All of a sudden, my kneecap broke. So I had a broken kneecap that evening. That was it. And I was rushed to a medical center where they did theirs. And after then, I was referred to the National Hospital where I had double surgeries. Ever since then, it's been a kneecap replacement, but I have an implant in my knee till date.
I was enlisted to Nigerian Air Force on the 29th of August 2005. If I could remember, where I sustained my injury was when we moved from Kangaroo to Malam Fatori. So we have a very serious attack from the Boko Haram. I have an injury on my hand here. The bullet was here. Another one was here, but I don't know where the bullet entered my chest, because I was on hand guard when I was facing, or at a close range. So when I sustained my injury, so at that process, The helicopter now come to now rescue us, took us back to Maiduguri to receive some first aid and whatsoever.
I said Nigerian Navy have done a lot. They've tried, because this is the second prosthetic I'm using. Yeah, they gave me the first one in Germany 2017, and this one was given to me November 28, 2023, because the first one stopped working. So I want to say thank you to my superior officers, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Defense Staff, the DMX. So I really appreciate for not only neglecting me, like still giving me a little support. I really appreciate.
I'm an infantry, so I serve in 4 demonstration battalion, deploy us to Kaduna crisis. That is a Kavanchang, when they are having issue, those bandits or terrorists, they are attacking villagers on the fateful Friday. So we now had a call. My platoon commander now drove into our location, said they have started killing people, so we should go for rescue. As a gunner, I mount my gun on top of the armored personnel carrier. So we are on our way going. The vehicle leading is healers, while me now we are the backup, like with the armored personnel carrier. So on getting to one junction at Zonkua, before reaching where we are assigned to go, so the ammo cannon somersaulted and fling me out, land on my legs. That's how I now got amputated.
We are going to deliver some village that the bandits overpower them in their community, so we went there to go and rescue them. In southern Kaduna, Operation Restore Peace. On the way, they led ambush on us. Then they fired RPG on our vehicle. Then our vehicle then catch fire. I don't know that the RPG met me. Before I know it, I don't know that my leg is gone.
I joined the service 1st March 2002. Sometime November 2002, we went for one inter-command competition at Benin. So it was there, then I was playing taekwondo. So somebody then hit me on this leg. But what happened is that since that time, that was when I started feeling the pains from this leg. But I was still managing the leg like that to play all my games, because I love games very much. So I was still using it to play my basketball, standing volleyball, and all the rest. But it was not actually well managed. So it was after 10 years of the incident that the leg was finally amputated.
After the trauma came a second mission, healing. Defense Headquarters launched Recovery Through Sports, an initiative to rechannel pain into power. In 2024, these gallant warriors competed not as victims, but as victors at the African Military Invictus Games in Abuja.
I am a beneficiary of the initiative of the current military administration under the leadership of the Chief of Defense Staff, that's General C.G. Musa, who deemed it fit to incorporate the welfare of not only the actively serving men, but also the welfare of the wounded in action personnel into his program. And that explains why a lot of us are beneficiaries of this Invictus Games Foundation, where we gain recovery from our injuries through sports.
Before, I don't know what the sitting volleyball is all about, but now I can play sitting volleyball, can do rowing, can sitting wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rowing, and so many games you told about. Even table tennis, I can play table tennis now, so without even shaking. Before I thought that it's over.
Thank God for Invictus Games that come to Nigeria. They took me to Germany to go and play. That is when my recovery started. That is when I started developing, living normal life like before. Sometimes before, I don't even used to come outside because I'm ashamed. And I feel pity. I pity myself which I don't even want to come outside to some people to see me. But the Invictus Games improve me, make me recover quick.
I thought that it is all over, that I will not be able to do what I used to do before. But as time goes on, I now found out that actually that there is so many abilities in disability. And then now I can tell you for sure, this amputation did not stop me from achieving whatever that I wish to achieve in life. I played a basketball, a wheelchair basketball, sitting volleyball, wheelchair rugby game, and as well as swimming. And then it was an Invictus game that I learned how to swim, because I've never been a swimmer and I've never entered pool in my life. It was with this one leg I learned how to swim. And then I competed with it.
All of a sudden, I find myself not doing those things. It saddens me. Each time I think about it or watch other people do it, I feel that I'm supposed to be there. But ever since then, it has not been easy. It was never easy at all. I had this anger, bitterness in me. I didn't really want to go out most at times. So, but when I was introduced to the games, the sport recovery program, I felt quite all right. The very first game they introduced us was the sitting volleyball. And God knows that I have fallen in love with that game till date.
Service does not end with a wound, in silence or speech, on legs or wheels, in pain or peace. They still stand for you, for Nigeria, for duty.
Well, I just wanted to know that
every way you can, with words of encouragement, prayers. Of course, there might be some reasons where some people have reservations against the military, but what the military stands for is the security of the nation, and that is our primary goal.
Nigerians can support the military or the fight against insurgency by giving information at the right time.
Appreciation poured in for the Chief of Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa, OFR. They raised their salute, not for medals, but for his unwavering commitment to their healing.
I thank him so much, because if he's not there, who is going to be there to support us? But I thank him for taking me to Germany.
The armed forces have been of very good help to us. And I sincerely wish to thank our CDS for what he has been doing for the wounded soldiers in Nigeria. It is very, very awesome. Also, I forget to thank my cast, that is the Chief of Air Staff as well. You know, he has been taking care of us as well.
Well, I really want to say a very big thank you to the Chief of Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa. He has taken the wounded soldiers to be his top priority. Anything that has to do with wounded soldiers, he doesn't joke with it. The welfare, the well-being of our well-being, he takes it to be his number one priority. So I really want to appreciate him for his good, wonderful work and his support.
For the man with bullets still lodged in his body, for the one whose voice was stolen by a sniper's bullet, but whose spirit still rolls, for all who have lost something on the battlefield, but found something greater in recovery, though they came from different regiments, different mission, and different moments in battle, but they share a common prize. Some lost a limb, others lost both. Each bears the scars of sacrifice, etched not only in flesh, but in memory. For many, it was a return, not to war, but to purpose. They may have left the front lines, but they remained soldiers, strong, steady, unbroken.
Thank you very much. Please let's appreciate our dear soldiers of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria once more. Before I proceed, permit me to say that honor is given to who honor is due. It's with sincerity the Chief of Defense Staff has done so much for us in the Armed Forces of Nigeria, and we cannot thank him enough. In fact, he sends this bettered and conceived the Invictus Centers, where soldiers can feel alive, loved, and cared for, and also well appreciated. The Invictus Center is at Giri, and very soon it will be completed. At least soldiers doesn't have to be dumped after they have sacrificed. It was because of his empathy, his sense of duty, that this idea was bettered and conceived. On this note, please let's give the Chief of Defense Staff a resounding round of applause for his wonderful work. Thank you very much, sir. We are grateful. Moving on quickly to the next item on the program of events, which is the remarks by the Chief Host and the Chief of Defense Staff. May I humbly and most respectfully invite the Chief Host and the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabin Musa, OFR, to grace us with his remarks. The Chief of Defense Staff, sir.
Thank you very much. The special guest of honor, the Honorable Minister of Defense, ably represented by Major General A.T. Jibrin, retired but not tired. Our chairman of this occasion, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Muhammad Idris, FNIPR, our representative of the service chiefs, representative of ministries, departments, and agencies, principal staff officers of defense and service headquarters, our amiable media executives, directors, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my honor and cherished privilege on behalf of the officers and men and women of the Armed Forces of Nigeria to sincerely welcome all our esteemed guests to this important occasion, which is the Chief of Defense Staff expanded chat with media executives, including the service chiefs. We are particularly delighted to host this interactive session here at the Defense Headquarters as part of our ongoing efforts to strengthen understanding, build public trust, and deepen transparency between the military, the media, and the Nigerian people. Let me begin by appreciating everyone present today, especially the Honorable Minister of Defense, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, the service chiefs, heads of security agencies, media executives, and press organizations, serving and retired officers, as well as members of the Nigerian public. I'm well aware of the many demands on your time, and I thank you most sincerely for finding it worthy to honor our invitation. Your presence here speaks volumes about your commitment to national security, peace, progress, and unity. At this juncture, permit me to express the heartfelt condolences of the Armed Forces of Nigeria to the families and communities affected by recent violent spate of attacks. We especially grieve with the nation over the tragic losses in Yelwata, Benue State, and other affected areas in both the southern and northern regions of our country. These senseless acts of violence against fellow citizens weigh heavily on our hearts. As always, we remain fully committed to ensuring that justice is served and that peace and stability are restored to all corners of Nigeria. Distinguished guests, it is worth recalling that exactly 2 years ago today, the current service chiefs and I were entrusted with the leadership of our respective services, the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, and the Nigerian Air Force, as well as the Defense Headquarters. On that day, we were charged by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to steer the Armed Forces of Nigeria through one of the most challenging periods in our national history. Since then, we have been working as a unified team to respond to ever-evolving security threats facing our country. However, it is with deep sadness that I remind us of the unfortunate demise of our dear brother and colleague, the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, who passed away in November 2024. May his soul continue to rest in peace. Following his passing, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluede was appointed as the next Chief of Army Staff. I must commend him for hitting the ground running, bringing renewed vigor, professionalism, and continuity to the strategic direction of the Nigerian Army. The Nigerian Navy is the Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of Air Staff, the Chief of Defense Intelligence, and all other chiefs have continued to work tirelessly to ensure that we restore peace and tranquility within our lovely country, Nigeria. A seamless transition has been vital in maintaining the momentum and cohesion we have built over the past 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the security landscape of our dear country remains dynamic and complex. We are contending with an array of the adaptive and unconventional threats from non-state actors, including terrorism, insurgency, banditry, secessionist violence, and other forms of organized crime. These multifaceted threats underscore the urgent need for a comprehensive, multidimensional, and multidisciplinary approach. In response, the armed forces have fully embraced the whole of society approach, a framework that emphasizes synergy among the military, government institutions, and the people as a unified trinity in the fight against insecurity. The primary objective of today's engagement is to foster direct interaction with media executives from across the country. This platform allows us to present a clear and factual scorecard of our operations and activities over the past 2 years. More importantly, it provides an opportunity for an open dialogue where the media and members of the public can ask pressing questions and the service chiefs and health and security agencies can respond with sincerity and responsibility. We believe that truth and trust are the cornerstone of national resilience. We remain open in our activities, and we assure you that we are committed to protecting the lives and properties of Nigerians. In today's battles, particularly against terrorism and insurgency, we are not only engaged in physical combat, but also fighting a war for the hearts and minds of the people. In this non-kinetic theater, the media is a powerful force. The battle for perception, which entails controlling the narrative and countering misinformation and disinformation, is essential to strategic success. How the media reports on our operations have a significant impact on public perception and morale, both locally and internationally. This is why we seek a professional, objective, and nation-oriented partnership with the media. Let me reaffirm that the Armed Forces of Nigeria remains unwavering in its mission to protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of our country. While kinetic operations are ongoing across all theaters, we have also come to fully appreciate the importance of non-kinetic strategies, which now constitute over 70% of the efforts required in modern asymmetric warfare. In this context, the media is not just a supporting actor, but a central player. Nigerians are deeply interested in understanding their security situation and future prospects. Hence, the narratives we shape as media professionals will significantly influence public sentiment, national unity, and peace building. As I conclude, let me once again appreciate all of you for honoring our invitation and urge you to continue working collaboratively with the Armed Forces of Nigeria and other security and law enforcement agencies to restore total peace and stability to our dear country. In this regard, I sincerely appreciate the Honorable Minister of Defense, Alhaji Abubakar Badru, CON, the Minister of State Defense, the Minister of Information, for their consistency and invaluable support to the armed forces. They have been there for us all through, and we continue to appreciate you, sir. Finally, I profoundly and unequivocally appreciate the continuous, unwavering, and unprecedented support of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. He has been steadfast in ensuring that his renewed hope agenda brings tangible security and development to all Nigerians. Yesterday, I'm sure we saw how the President also visited Benue State for on-the-spot assessment. It shows his commitment in ensuring that every Nigerian enjoys the peace in his country. Let me encourage us all not to despair, even in the face of temporal setbacks. Like we always said, defeat is temporal, victory is forever. Be assured that the Armed Forces of Nigeria, in synergy with all security agencies and Nigerians, are determined to overcome these challenges and make insecurity a thing of the past. I thank you once again for coming as we continue to work together to build a peaceful, secure, and prosperous Nigeria where every citizen can thrive and enjoy the dividends of democracy. I'm sure the short clips we saw has shown us the sacrifices that people have been making that most times people don't really realize. These are fathers, these are mothers, these are sisters, these are wives, spouses of those that are committing themselves daily to ensure that Nigeria is peaceful and secure. So it is important that we learn to encourage them for what they are doing. We must speak positively. We must love one another. We must love our country, and we must pray for our country. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
please may I humbly request that we give the Chief of Defense Staff another resounding round of applause for that wonderful remarks. In addition to the video of the unsung heroes, there are other pictures that we'll just quickly go through so that it can sink in properly. Thank you very much. Remember, I stated how caring the Chief of Defense Staff is. It is not about showing for the public or for the media. It is not the publicity stunts. It is his person, and that is how it is. Even if he doesn't want to be, he can't even help it. He has a lot of empathy and sense of duty. On that note, please, let's once again give him another resounding round of applause. Thank you very much, sir. Please don't get tired of hearing thank you. We really appreciate you. With the remarks of the Chief of Defense Staff now over, it is now time for briefs by the Service Chief, who are also the host, as the Chief of Defense Staff is the Chief host, they are the host, and we are all in this together. That's the Service Chief are all in this together with the Chief of Defense Staff. The brief will be starting with the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal H.P. Abubakar, ably represented by the Director of Coordination, Nigerian Air Force Headquarters, Air Vice Marshal E.K. Kapkwet. The Director, sir.
The chairman of this occasion, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, the Minister of Defense, ably represented by one of our own, General Jibrin, the Chief Host, the CDS, Service Chiefs, distinguished heads of agencies under the Ministry of Information, ladies and gentlemen. I am standing here on behalf of the Chief of the Air Staff, who is unavoidably absent, and he has directed that I read a prepared speech to you all for you to have an understanding of some of the achievements that the Nigerian Air Force, alongside other agencies, have made, especially in the last 2 years. So when I say I, honestly, I'm not referring to myself, but the Chief of Air Staff. And the speech goes like this. I'm glad to be here today to brief you on our efforts to transform the Nigerian Air Force into an agile and resilient force, which is fully on course. Ultimately, my goal is to bequeath to the nation a well-equipped service that can operate effectively, singularly as a service, and jointly with other services to deliver air power in any operational environment. In the last 2 years, the Nigerian Air Force has reached new heights in operational capabilities. 15 brand new aircraft were received by the Nigerian Air Force, including 6 T-129 attack helicopters from Turkey, 2 Augusta Westland 109 Trekker helicopters from Italy, 3 Beechcraft King Air aircrafts, and 4 Diamond aircrafts. An additional 49 platforms are expected before the end of 2026. They include 3 CASA 295 aircraft, 10 Augusta Westline 109 Tracker aircraft, 12 AH-1 Zulu helicopters, and 24 M346 fighter aircraft. These aircraft will be in the country before the end of next year. These new acquisitions reinforce readiness to reposition the Nigerian Air Force to effectively meet the air power demands of Nigeria. The delivered platforms have greatly enhanced Nigerian Air Force operational effectiveness, enabling the service to fly over 4,500 hours in 2,304 sorties for 1,974 counterterrorism operations within the last 1 year. Similarly, the Nigerian Air Force flew over 4,670 hours in 2,713 sorties for 2,610 anti-banditry missions, as well as 1,450 hours in 453 sorties for 366 counter-crude oil theft missions between last year and the year before. Between January to May this year, the Nigerian Air Force has already flown over 832 hours in 469 sorties for counterterrorism operations, 2,000 hours in 919 sorties for anti-banditry missions, as well as 751 hours in 340 sorties for counter-crude oil theft operations. All these missions contributed decisively to the attainment of operational objectives and enhancing our national security. It is gladdening to note that through the meticulous efforts of our aircraft and armament engineers and technicians, we conducted the first ever in-country 4,800 hours inspection on the Dornier 228 aircraft. Additionally, we successfully reactivated a Dornier 228 aircraft that had been grounded for over 23 years. Some other aircraft reactivated include two Augusta Westline 109EM, one Mi-35P, and one Mi-171 helicopters, as well as one ATR-42 aircraft. Platforms currently undergoing reactivation include one Super Puma helicopter, one Citation 680 aircraft, one ATR-42 aircraft, one Bell 412 helicopter, and two Augusta Westland 109EM helicopter. Through Nigerian Air Force maintenance efforts, we have achieved an average serviceability status of about 72% in the last 2 years, enabling the Nigerian Air Force to sustain its operations and contribute effectively to the enhancement of Nigeria's national security. Our air operations have neutralized several high-value targets, dismantled logistics networks, and restored hope to communities plagued by insurgency. From June 2023 to date, over 3,496 terrorists were neutralized, while 775 structures, logistics, and 218 combat vehicles were destroyed by the air components of Operation Hadinkai in the northeast. Furthermore, the air components of Operation Fansayama have conducted several independent and joint operations to restore peace within their areas of responsibility in the northwest. In October last year, to date, over 2,154 terrorists have been neutralized, while 669 structures and about 271 motorbikes were destroyed by the air component of Operation Fansayama. In Operation Delta Safe, the kinetic and non-kinetic employment of air power has had significant positive impact on our economy. As a result of our renewed onslaught through the projection of air power, I am happy to report that Nigeria's production of crude oil and condensates have improved significantly from the levels in 2023. Yet, where challenges occurred, the Nigerian Air Force did not shy away, taking full responsibilities for mishaps and committing to continuous improvement to operational safety and civilian harm mitigation. Just last month, the Nigerian Air Force launched a civilian harm mitigation and response action plan which will guide the effective employment of air power to prevent collateral damage and unintended harm to innocent civilians. Beyond the front lines, the welfare of our personnel remains a top priority. Over 482 infrastructure projects were initiated across Nigerian Air Force bases, with 30% focused on accommodation. This has reduced the housing deficit in Nigerian Air Force by 25%, with a target of 50% by the middle of this year. In the past 24 months, training and capacity development have been intensified. Thousands of officers and men have been trained locally and abroad. Within the last 1 year alone, over 565 personnel completed foreign courses comprising 177 flying courses and 455 ground training courses. Meanwhile, new simulators and immersive learning technologies have also been deployed, preparing the Nigerian Air Force for future warfare. Let me briefly talk about some challenges impeding our efforts in the employment of air power for enhanced national security. Funding is obviously an issue, especially given the current economic realities. Also, at present, all geopolitical zones in the country have one or more joint military and multi-agency operations ongoing. Hence, the Nigerian Air Force has had to frequently redeploy, re-roll, and reassign its limited air assets to conduct a wide range of air operations and missions across vast geographical areas in the country. This has overstrained and limited the ability of the service to concentrate force in time and space, which is a cardinal principle of war that is key to success in warfare. Lastly, international politics has become a crucial challenge. Western sanctions against some countries, where a significant percentage of Nigerian Air Force aerospace equipment come from, have hindered the service's procurement of aircraft spares, maintenance activities, and training, thereby negatively impacting on our projection of air power. Additionally, some countries and international organizations link arms sales to human rights conditions. Accordingly, the sale of arms and attendant spares have been delayed based on perceived or actual human rights abuses. This has delayed the availability of these needed munitions and aircraft, with negative consequences on our capacity to deliver air power for national security. Ladies and gentlemen, in summary, from asserting control over our skies to advancing human capital, the Nigerian Air Force has, over the past 2 years, continued to soar higher, stronger, and more resilient than ever. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir. That was just listening to a 5-minute brief from the Nigerian Air Force, delivered by the representative of the Chief of Air Staff. The next is a 5-minute brief by the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral E.I. Ogala, ably represented by Rear Admiral O.O. Shoyemi, the Director of Operations, Nigerian Navy Headquarters. The Director, sir.
The special guest of honor, sir, the chairman of the occasion, our chief host, the chief of the defense staff, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the chief of the naval staff, my brief will be in 2 parts. I'll be looking at Nigerian Navy operational responses from June 2023 till date, and thereafter I'll consider future initiatives. The Nigerian Navy's operational responses in the last 2 years have been in the form of anti-piracy and sea robbery operations, anti-oil theft operations, anti-smuggling operations, and joint operations. Others include asset recapitalization, establishment of new bases, hydrographic operations, regional and international cooperation, as well as regional and international collaboration. Starting with anti-piracy and anti-sea robbery operations. The Nigerian Navy has maintained credible presence at sea, resulting in significant reduction in sea robbery incidents, while ensuring that no piracy incident occurred in Nigerian waters since 3rd March 2022, after the exit of the country from the list of piracy-prone countries. For anti-oil theft operations, the Nigerian Navy has been in the forefront of operations to curb oil theft through Operation Delta Sanity. Initially launched in January 2024, rejigged on 30 December 2024 with the integration of area surveillance and improved intelligence to achieve better results. This has led to arrest of 76 vessels and 242 suspects, while over 808 illegal refining sites with 2,411 dugout pits and 5,421 storage facilities deactivated. Additionally, several items used in perpetrating oil theft-related crimes were seized, such as speedboats, as well as arms and ammunition, amongst others. Furthermore, oil thieves were denied about 27.3 million liters of crude oil, 4.1 million liters of illegally refined AGO, 117,525 liters of DPK, and 369,155 liters of PMS. At current market rates, this amounts to about 29.5 billion naira denied oil thieves since the commencement of the operation. The effectiveness of our operations has been measured by data and statistics, such as high percentages of terminal factors recorded along the Trans-Niger, Trans-Escravos, and Trans-Forcados pipelines by as much as 98 to 100% since the third quarter of 2024. Also, recent data from the NUPRC indicate that crude oil theft has reduced to about 5,000 barrels per day. More so, sequel to presidential directives, the Nigerian Navy on 13 January 2025 commenced fiscalization duties in the nation's 5 crude oil export terminals, namely Bonny, Bras, Escravos, Forcados, and Kwai Ibo terminal, while efforts are ongoing to extend same to the other terminals. The objective is to verify and authenticate quantities of crude oil loaded by nominated tankers, thereby drastically reducing the incidence of oil theft at the terminals. Anti-smuggling operations. The Nigerian Navy anti-smuggling operations has recorded significant achievements. Specifically, petroleum products and 4,610 bags of foreign parboiled rice as well as 1,467 bags of cannabis sativa and other psychoactive substances smuggled in wooden boats worth over 5 billion naira were intercepted in the last 2 years. I must state that curbing smuggling within the nation's maritime domain remains crucial to the Nigerian Navy's drive for national security. For joint operations, the Nigerian Navy currently has over 1,800 personnel, including special boat service and special forces detachments deployed in 9 ongoing defense headquarters-led internal security, as well as counterinsurgency and counterterrorism operations in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Also, maritime components of these operations were supported with necessary logistics and contributed significantly to the operational successes recorded in the last 2 years. Of particular note was the contribution of Nigerian Navy components in Operation Flood Sanity in the wake of the devastating floods in Maiduguri and Operation Lake Sanity in Darak, Cameroon in 2024. In addition, the Nigerian Navy operationalized Naval Outpost Shagunu in April 2025 to check the influx of bandits and arms smuggling along the River Niger axis of Niger and Kebbi states. In terms of asset recapitalization, in recognition of the need to continually boost the Nigerian Navy's operational capacity towards enhancing effectiveness in the accomplishment of its mandate, the Nigerian Navy has in the last 2 years acquired several maritime assets. This includes several patrol boats, as well as the 3 ships, Nigerian Navy ship Ikogosi, Nigerian Navy ship Faro, Nigerian Navy ship Sherry, as well as 3 Agusta 139 Trekker helicopters recently commissioned on 31st May by the Honorable Minister of State for Defense during the Nigerian Navy's 69th anniversary celebration. It is gratifying to state that the Nigerian Navy has also reached an advanced stage in the construction of seaward defense boats 4 and 5 at the Naval Dockyard Limited, which are expected to be completed soon. Establishment of new bases. The ever-changing and challenging operational environment, coupled with the need for expanded operations, necessitated the establishment of new bases to effectively address contemporary threats. It is in this regard that the Nigerian Navy recently established the Nigerian Navy ship Madueke in May 2024 to effectively support efforts in dealing with security challenges in the southeast axis of Nigeria. Also, the Nigerian Navy Marines was established to bridge existing gaps, as well as provide a robust, rapid response to bolster Nigerian Navy's internal security conflict operations. Likewise, a Special Operations Command was established in April 2025 to administer the Nigerian Navy Marines, the Nigerian Navy Special Boat Service, the Special Forces personnel, as well as Naval Explosive Ordnance specialists to enable more appropriate coordination and prosecution of land-centric operations. In hydrographic operations, the Nigerian Navy state-of-art hydrographic ships carried out systematic survey of Nigerian waters, which culminated in the production of updated navigational charts and publications. Also, since December 2024, the Nigerian Navy's Hydrographic Department has been engaged in the hydrographic survey of the Bakassi deep sea port, amongst other surveys in strategic locations within Nigeria's maritime environment. The survey operation is being conducted by Nigerian Navy ship Ochuzo in support of the Cross River State government plan to construct a 20 meters deep seaport at Bakassi to boost shipping activities in the eastern flank of the country. Now to regional and international cooperation. The Nigerian Navy is involved in regional and other maritime security collaborative engagements under the auspices of the 2013 Yaoundé Code of Conduct, which prioritizes cooperation and information sharing between navies of the ECOWAS and ECAS. We also collaborate with the other international organizations to address transnational crimes in the Gulf of Guinea. It is in this regard that several warships visited Nigeria for joint patrols and exercises. Now to future initiatives. The Nigerian Navy future initiatives include acquisition of combat helicopters and strategic military drones to bolster our air arm, as well as acquisition of frigates, offshore patrol vessels, fast patrol boats, tugboats, patrol crafts for improved operational efficiency. Notably, the Nigerian Navy is set to take delivery of two 76-meter high-endurance offshore patrol vessels from the Dacian shipyard in Turkey, which would augment long-range patrols within the region and beyond. Equally, we plan to deploy 20 additional houseboats to enhance the choke point security architecture for monitoring internal waterways in the Niger Delta region. These acquisitions will significantly enhance the Nigerian Navy's capacity to conduct extensive maritime security operations. In conclusion, the operational activities of the Nigerian Navy have been intensified in the past 2 years, leading to the denial of criminal elements of the use of over 34.5 billion worth of crude oil, petroleum products, and smuggled rice, amongst other items. Nonetheless, the Nigerian Navy is poised to increase this achievement in the future. This would, however, require increased funding for the Nigerian Navy in order to sustain the operational successes, infrastructural development, fleet recapitalization, and capacity building initiatives. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir. That was the brief from the Nigerian Navy by the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff. The final brief from the Service Chief is the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General O.O. Oluyede, ably represented by the Deputy Chief of Operations, Nigerian Army Headquarters, Major General P.B. Kona. The Deputy Chief, sir.
Is it on? All right, thank you. The special guest of honor, sir, the Honorable Minister of Defense, represented this morning by Major General A.T. Jibrin, retired, the chairman of the occasion, the Honorable Minister of Information, Elijah Mohammed Idris, MNI, our leader and our boss, the Chief of Defense Staff, representative of other service chiefs, principal staff officers, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I represent the Chief of Army Staff, who is still in Makodi, carrying out a rejig and reinvigoration of operations in that area following the incident of Friday night, Saturday morning. The Nigerian Army, as the land force, operating under the leadership and guidance of the Chief of Army Staff, has, in the last 2 years, carried out much operational activities in fulfillment of its constitutional responsibilities. And during this period, many quantities of battle enablers like mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles, gun trucks, AQ series, artillery pieces have been acquired. Many special intervention battalions have been created, trained, equipped, and introduced in the various trouble spots to make the difference we have today. In particular, beginning with the Northwest Zone, in the last 2 years, the Nigerian Army as the land force, operating with other services and agencies, has degraded the Lakrawa terror group to the extent that they cease to pose a serious threat to major towns and villages in that zone. They only exist at the moment on the fringes in far-flung villages where they try to assimilate into the communities and no longer stand alone as an identity to pose such threats. We hope to eventually eliminate them altogether. Nigerian Army operations during this period has also succeeded in restoring normalcy in most parts of Sokoto, Zamfara, and Kebbi states, leading to the return of many communities or villagers to their communities. In particular, we have eliminated key bandit leaders like Bashiru Yelo, Halidu Subudu, Ashiru Kachala, Buba Kachala Nafaransi, Aminu Kanawa, and many others. They can no longer pose a threat to the communities in that zone. Other bandit leaders, sensing imminent defeat, people like Umar Black, Abu Rada, Daba Musa, Abdullah Lankai, have quietly gone to surrender. Bandits like Arero, while not yet in our net, have more or less gone underground and are operating in hiding. Under the continuous leadership of the Chief of Defense Staff, we will eventually get them all. In the Northeast Zone, over the last 2 years, kinetic operations have eliminated Boko Haram ISWAP activities in states in the zone like Bauchi and Gombe, as well as most part of northern Borno. We have canalized them to mostly parts of, not parts of northern Adamawa. We have canalized them to mostly parts of northern Borno and a few parts of Yobe State. Many communities in places like Kukawa, IDPs have been able to return to their communities. A few months ago, we had a few setbacks in some places, but a quick rejig of our operations and review of our strategies have stabilized the situation in those areas as well, and has led to some most recent achievements, including the elimination of key terrorists like Abu Fatima, who hitherto had a 100 million naira bounty on his head by the Borno State government. We eliminated him last month. Following the rejig and stabilization of the last few weeks, we have also dealt serious defeat on the terrorists in Malamfoturi 3 weeks ago, where scores of them, including their key leaders and IED experts, were eliminated. Of course, as mentioned earlier by the military information officer, the kinetic operations have also driven thousands of terrorists and their families to surrender during the period of the last 2 years. In the North Central, despite the incident of last Friday/Saturday night, kinetic operations have largely driven to ground and restore high level of normalcy to places like Nasarawa State in the North Central, Niger State, Plateau State to a great extent, in Kaema and the Imaros. I think the only black spot in the North Central region was the incident of a few days ago, and with following that incident and the actions that are taking place now, eventually, most parts of the North Central will also become like the kind of normalcy we have in Kwara State and other parts of the North Central. In the South-South zone, kinetic operations against oil thieves in the last 2 years has led to the rise of crude oil production from about 1.3 million to about 1.8 million barrels per day. Militants, cultists, and kidnappers in the zone have been degraded so much that there is a high level of normalcy in the entire South-South zone. In Edo State, intervention of additional ground forces and establishment of several additional forward operating bases has caught the incursion of the IPOB ESN that was beginning to enter that area, as well as the headers attackers in the state. In the South-South zone, kinetic operations have equally degraded the IPOB ESN activities. We have removed them from existing camps at Moda Valley and other forests. Economic activities and major markets at Aba, Odicha, and other places have returned to operating at normal rate. We have also eliminated key IPOB ESN commanders such that most of activities now of the IPOB and co remain on media pronouncements. On the whole, and with the continuous guidance, leadership of the Chief of Defense Staff, we will continue to fulfill our constitutional responsibilities and by and large, eventually eliminate the threat posed in the various geopolitical zones as I've mentioned earlier. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We just listened to the brief from the Nigerian Army. The next item on the program of events is the remarks by the chairman of this occasion, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation. May I at this point humbly and most respectfully invite the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, FNIPR, to deliver his remarks. Sir, please, before the remarks, want 1 minute so that we can move the mic. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. You may now grace us with your remarks.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Defense, His Excellency Alhaji Mohammed Badaru Abubakar CON MNI, who is ably represented by Major General A.T. Jibrin. The Chief Host, my friend, my brother, General Christopher Musa, Chief of Defense Staff, thank you for the work you do, and thank you also for acknowledging the fact that the media is indeed very important in this fight against insurgents and other criminal elements. We have seen a new resurgence of the interest shown by the Nigerian military in ensuring that they need not just to fight in the war front, but also ensure that Nigerians who this work is meant for are actually being kept in the know. Thank you for that. The service chiefs here represented, the Inspector General of Police, heads of other security agencies here present, heads of agencies under the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation. I can see the Director General of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, the Director General of Voice of Nigeria, and the Managing Director, News Agency of Nigeria. Principal staff officers from Defense and Service Headquarters, the President and Chairman of Council of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. He sent me a message a while ago that he has to be on his way to Akwa Ibom for another national engagement. Media executives, and here I would say my own media executive, because I noticed that when the military officials take the microphone, they identify with their own General A.T. Jibrin. So let me also say my own media executives, and I'm seeing really the presence of very esteemed, very senior media executives here and columnists. Indeed, these are the people who are every day on television, on radio, and on the pages of newspapers, not just reporting what Nigerian armed forces are doing for our nation, but also ensuring that the necessary buy-in that is required by Nigerians is also achieved. Thank you for the work you do, my colleagues. Senior officers, other invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, before my address, let me just say, General Christopher Musa, that I rarely, for the minutes that the video clips you showed us were playing, I honestly was becoming almost emotional. And like you said in your closing remarks, these are people's brothers, wives, mothers. I was asking the general if the officer, the female officer who had her leg amputated, was actually married. And he said, yes, she's married with children. So you can imagine what the children of that woman will be feeling. But what is instructive is the hope, the enthusiasm, and the show of commitment that we are seeing from these officers who have been injured. Not one of them has given us any reason to despair, to think that the fight against insurgency is not worthwhile for our dear country. I really wish to, on behalf of all Nigerians, really thank our men and women, or gallant men and women in uniform and other security agencies for the work that they do. And this leads me to the point that I always make, that for my colleagues in the media, it is very important that you note what these people are doing. It is essential that you take side with them, because they are doing so much and sacrificing their lives, losing part of their physical bodies, so that you and I can sit and even have this meeting ongoing. It is, for me personally, not encouraging when I see, and I always say it, when I see the Nigerian media prioritizing the news of these terrorists and criminal elements over and above what our men and women in uniform are doing. They are working for Nigeria. They are fighting for you. You cannot side with the enemy. It is important that all of us recognize that they are working, sacrificing their lives, so that all of us can have a peaceful, united and prosperous Nigeria. It is not useful when our front pages, we are ceding our front pages to these criminal elements. Let's take them off our screens. Let's take them off our front pages. Let's remove them from the headlines of our radio stations. They don't deserve it. They should be treated. They should be treated for what they are. They are the enemies of this country, and we must treat them as such. It is an honor and a duty for me to be here today at this official engagement between the Military High Command and the leadership of the Nigerian media and other stakeholders. This event marks not only 2 years of service by the current service chiefs, but also 2 years of strategic recalibration in the security architecture of our great nation. I've said it over and over that we have seen a renewed vigor. Yes, we are not there yet. Yes, it is still work in progress, but we have seen a renewed vigor. We have seen a renewed commitment. We have also seen a new cohesion and unity within all the parts of our armed forces to ensure that we win this war. We want to especially commend the CDS and other service chiefs for making sure that all of them come together so that they can win this war. Let me also convey the commendation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to our service chiefs for their unshakable commitment, discipline, and patriotism in the discharge of their duties. The nation remains deeply grateful for your sacrifices, which frequently go above and beyond the call of duty. The President's Renewed Hope agenda is anchored on 8 strategic pillars, with strengthening national security for peace and prosperity occupying a central position. This emphasis is deliberate, as peace and security form the cornerstone of national development and economic stability. 2 years ago, when these officers were appointed, Nigeria faced a complex matrix of security challenges. Insecurity in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, farmer-herder conflicts in the north central, secessionist agitations in the southeast, oil theft and piracy in the south-south, and other forms of criminality in parts of the southwest. Indeed, the armed forces were stretched on all fronts at that time. Yet, under the strategic leadership of the Chief of Defense Staff and the service chiefs, we have witnessed not just a containment of these threats, but a visible reclaiming of our national space physically, psychologically, and operationally. Nigerians can now attest with confidence that our highways are significantly more secure than they were a few years ago. Today, we gather to highlight the milestones from the successful degradation of the Boko Haram and ISWAP cells, in the northeast especially, to the decisive operations against bandit enclaves in the northwest and north central. From improved naval patrols that have drastically cut down crude oil theft and the destruction of illegal refineries, to the relentless air interdictions that have disrupted the logistics and mobility of criminal elements. The scorecard is not only impressive, it is reassuring. That is why this engagement is very crucial. The media, as the fourth estate of the rim, must be a strategic partner in nation building. You are not just chroniclers of events, you are co-creators of national consciousness. When you report on security issues, you are not only informing the public, you are boosting the morale of our citizens and the Nigerian armed forces on the front lines. Since assuming duty, we have noted, the Chief of Defense Staff, how you have adopted a culture of openness and strategic communication. The meeting we are having today is a clear indication of that. This expanded engagement, therefore, is a further demonstration of that commitment to transparency, to collaboration, and to trust. I urge you to continue to deepen that in the interest of our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, as Minister of Information and National Orientation, I've always insisted that security reporting must be responsible, factual, and nation-focused. We must resist, like I said earlier, the temptation to sensationalize or unintentionally serve the agenda of our adversaries. Most often, our media professionals are not aware that this propaganda that these terrorists and criminal elements dish out is actually serving the purpose of those that we are actually fighting as a nation. Let me assure you that the Tinubu administration will continue to support our military, not just with arms and equipment, but with policies that strengthen intelligence gathering, enhance interagency coordination, and promote the welfare of personnel and their families. The media is expected to report not only what has gone wrong, but what is being done right. Highlight the sacrifices of our troops. Tell the story of progress. Balance criticism with context. That is the true calling of responsible journalism. Let me congratulate the Chief of Defense Staff and the service chiefs once again on this milestone. You have restored hope, saved lives, defended our sovereignty, and above all, reminded all of us what it means to serve our dear country. As we present your scorecard today, I urge all stakeholders, particularly my friends in the media, to take note of the progress made and amplify it. It's not always a bad story. Let's amplify the progress that we have made. Doing so will serve as a vital moral booster for our gallant officers and men in uniform, who work tirelessly day and night to secure our nation and to create an environment where all Nigerians can live, work, and thrive. Thank you for your kind attention, and God bless our armed forces. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this morning.
Thank you very much, sir. Please let's give the Honorable Minister another resounding round of applause for that well thought out remarks. Thank you very much, sir. We're very grateful. There's a bit of changes, small change in the program of events. We'll proceed with the presentation of souvenir as the minister have a very important engagement. He just managed to be here because of how important the event is. So we'll proceed with the presentation of souvenir, thereafter group photograph. The minister will take his leave and then we'll come back for the main business of the day. On that note, may I humbly and most respectfully invite the Chief Host and the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Bin Musa, for the presentation of souvenir to the Honorable Minister.
So invite the minister.
Also, may I humbly invite the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, FNI PR, to receive the presentation. Thank you very much, sir. It's now time for group photograph. Yes. The Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, and the Chief of Defense Staff. Then thereafter, the special guest of honor will join the picture, and then after that, other members of the high table. So it's in 3 categories. Okay, thank you very much, sir. The next is the special guest of honor. Yes, sir, the special guest of honor. Then after the special guest of honor, then members of the high table. Members of the high table. Please. Are you okay? Oh. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Please, now the media executives. Please, the group photograph. Media executive.
You don't want to run things, sir. What's that? The picture. You don't want to run things. Ah, no, sir. Fine, sir.
So we can reduce this gap.
Yeah, yeah. So it seems it was.
Everybody should remain settled as the minister takes his leave because they have interactive session. CDS will just see him.
The special guest will
Who is special guest?
Why is he not?
No, why is he going? Just all this because the minister is taking.
Okay, sir.
They can be
It's only NC and right? I think I Then there are other online media that like, because I've seen one that is traveling like almost 20-something people like
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am directed to inform you to please settle down so that we can move into the business of the day.